Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special book creator webinar in the summer webinar series. Today, we're talking about favorite apps to use with Book Creator, a special Chrome edition. And I am just so pumped that you're here today. Before we get started, go ahead, for those of you joining us live, on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see the Go to Webinar control panel. Toggle to where it says questions and say hello. Share your name and where you're from, and we'll give some shout outs as we get started today. If you can't find the GoToWebinar control panel, if it has disappeared on your screen, but you can still hear me, look for that little orange button. That orange button is the auto collapse button. If you click on it, it'll pop back up for you. Welcome back, Catherine. Hello, John from Ontario, Abby from Alabama, Eileen from Illinois. Welcome, Peggy from Phoenix, and Ellie from Wisconsin, Lynn from Australia. So many people with us today. Welcome, Diane from Iowa, and Debbie from Perth, Maria from Iowa too, and Cindy from Virginia, Susan from Virginia too, Amy from Seattle, Sally from South Jersey, Kaylee from Texas, June from Washington. So many people joining us live today. Just so you know, those of you with us live, we are recording this webinar, so you will be able to reference this later. We're going to move through a lot of things really quickly today, and you'll be able to share the link to the recording after this goes up on the Book Creator YouTube channel. So before we jump in for today, a couple polls so that we can get a feel for everyone who's live with us. Go ahead and choose your response to this question. How familiar are you with Book Creator? Are you a pro? Have you used it a few times? Are you totally brand new to Book Creator? Go ahead and choose your response. It looks like for the votes coming in now, about 2/3 of you have used it a few times. A third of you are pros, so awesome. No brand new folks, it looks like. We will do a quick kind of getting started overview, but there's more getting started resources on the Book Creator YouTube channel too. But awesome, so many of you with us today. So share a little bit with the group, and you can choose more than one. What grade levels do you teach or support during the school year? Our votes are coming in. Remember, this is going to add up to more than 100% because you can vote more than once. It looks like about 85% of you work with K2 and 3-5. About half of you support or teach students in grades 6-8. And then a third, more like a quarter of you, support students in high school. So awesome. Let's go ahead and share what subject areas do you teach? You can again choose more than one of the following on our list. And if you fall into that other category, go ahead over to the question box. You can share, maybe you're a media specialist or instructional tech coach or an admin. You can share that in the question box. All right, it looks like you support students, all of you, in a variety of areas. About 2/3 of you in ELA or English language arts, half of you in math, science, and social studies, and then some of us falling into the other category, whether it's visual arts, teacher librarian, digital tech coordinator, coach, library media specialist. Awesome. So lots of folks with us today. And our very last question of the poll, have you used Book Creator on Chrome before? So some of you may be familiar with Chrome only on iPads, or maybe you've never used it before. So interested to see what your background is, since we're Chrome focused on this webinar, although there'll be plenty of takeaways for those of you who are primarily iPad users. So it looks like with our votes coming in, About 2/3, okay, a little bit more as more votes are coming in. About 3/4 of you have tried it out on Chrome before. About a quarter of you have only used it on iPads. So today, we are going to focus on favorite apps and websites to use with book creators, specifically on Chrome. So this is the Chrome edition of our webinar. A few logistics for those of you joining us live. That same question box that you typed your name in and where you're from, or what your role is, you can use that to type in questions during the course of the webinar. We're going to move fast through a whole bunch of favorite apps and websites, but we will pause. So I'll pause a few times so you can try things out. And that's when I will take a peek at the question box. So if I don't get to you right away, know that I will take a peek at that as we are moving forward. My name is Monica Burns. I am a book creator ambassador, a big fan of book creator, was using it with teachers today. That's how much I love book creator. And I am a former New York City public school teacher, although now I travel around to lots of different places, lots of schools, working with teachers and with their students. Today I'm actually in North Carolina, so not at home in New Jersey. And I'm also the founder of ClassTechTips.com. So you might have followed along on Twitter at Class Tech Tips or on Instagram now at Class Tech Tips. That's where I share lots of favorites, and I'm super excited to be with you today and really with you all summer to share a bunch of webinars on behalf of the folks at Book Creator, so taking part in their summer webinar series. If you haven't been able to join us live for the other webinars, so the 7 webinars before this summer, you can head over to bookcreator.com/webinars. You can see posts on my site, even one today featuring a past webinar with Book Creator. And of course, Book Creator's YouTube channel has all of the recordings and lots of extras. So even though we've made our way through a whole bunch of webinars this summer on some fantastic topics I've been super excited to share about, we do have 2 more live webinars on the schedule this month. One is going to be a middle school spotlight, and the other is going to be a high school spotlight. So looking at project ideas, workflow strategies that are really specific to those areas. We did an elementary one early this summer that you can take a peek at too. So let's dive in and do a quick overview for those of you who are new to Book Creator or haven't used it recently. Book Creator is an open-ended creation tool. You can use it to create and publish books, and the experience is totally customizable. So you can create all sorts of things with your students. So what can you make with Book Creator? Well, digital portfolios, poetry books, step-by-step guides, science reports, learning journals, comics, you name it. Book Creator is an open-ended creation tool. You can run with it and have your kids create all sorts of fantastic things. So how are teachers using Book Creator in the classroom? Well, when students are publishing work, they can publish it in ebook format with Book Creator. Students can demonstrate their understanding through everyday journal and activities in Book Creator. It can be used to promote collaboration. Just last week, we did a real-time, or the week before, a real-time collaboration with Book Creator webinar. So similar to how you can jump into Google Docs on the same page, you can do real-time collaboration. You can also use Book Creator to really set a purpose for learning and to have students create something for an authentic audience so real people can see and celebrate their work. So we're going to go through just a quick review of what Book Creator looks like on Chrome so you can get a feel for some features that may be new to you, especially if you're traditionally using Book Creator on iPads like some of you mentioned. So when I head over to my app.bookcreator.com landing page, so that's where I'm going to head to my accounts page, I can go ahead and open up a Book Creator, logging in with my Google single sign-on or my email, and then opening up the option to create a new book. So I'm going to go ahead in this demo and choose the landscape because it fills up my whole screen. Then I can use the plus button on the right-hand side. That's going to let me decide what I want to add to my cover or to my Book Creator page. So the import button, when I click on the import button, lets me import a file from Google. It lets me choose a file from your computer. We're going to talk about some of the extra special things you're going to start to see in the import button as you move through. I typed in a search term, so I typed in Badlands, and this now lets me do a Google image search right from within Book Creator. I could have added my own file from a trip to the Badlands a few summers ago, but I can click and I can add that picture to my page. Now, when I tap on it and it has those blue dots around it, it means I can shrink it, make it bigger, or I can use the green dot to move it in spin it in one direction or another. When I go back up to that plus sign at the top, I can also choose the camera tool to take a selfie for an all about the author page, or to snap a picture or video in real time. Or I can use the pen tool to create a drawing or quick illustration on the page, like you see here, writing my name using my finger on the trackpad or the touch screen. Then when I have those blue dots around it, I can shrink it and move it down the screen, just like you see here. I can also choose the eye inspector button and make some changes to the colors on the page. So I can choose the background that I want for the page. And when I hit that blue button, or the plus sign at the top, excuse me, I can go ahead and then hit the record button and add a recording. And you'll see those blue circles right around here. It means I can stretch it, make it larger, or move that recorded button around. I can also use the plus sign at the top of the screen to add shapes, like the shapes you see layered here. And I can change the colors and customize all the things that you see on the page. So that's just a quick overview of some of the core features in Book Creator. We're going to elaborate on these today as we talk about this idea of bringing in favorite websites and apps into Book Creator. We also have a recording of a webinar. We just did one last week, and you can see a recording up on bookcreator.com/webinars or up on the YouTube channel. And it's all about getting started with Book Creator on Chrome. So if I moved through a little bit too quickly with those first few things to give you a foundation, know that that resource is there and waiting for you. So teachers are using Book Creator for lots of different reasons: the interactive pages, the ability for a quick combination of media, so our images, our video, our recordings, an audio format, as well as drawing with a pen tool and text. There's also accessibility support for Book Creator, which makes it super special, and you can create a shareable product for your students. They can make a book that could be shared just with their classmates or with the whole world. And I'll take you out on a live demo today so you can see what it's like to share a book once you have added a whole bunch of special things from other apps. So today's focus is really about favorite apps to use with Book Creator, and this is a Chrome edition. So although some of the apps or websites I mentioned are going to be available for you on an iPad, we're focused more today on Chrome-friendly tools, but I know that those of you who have used Book Creator on iPad or iPad users too will see plenty of clear connections between the two. So we'll talk about setting up students for success, some favorite apps and websites, and some workflow tips so that you can jump into this right away. So before we go into my very long list of favorite apps and websites, what apps and websites do you use in your classroom? So besides Book Creator, what are some of your go-to apps and websites that you use in your classroom or with the students you support? Go ahead in the question box and add some of your favorites, and I will shout them out as we go through. Abby mentioned Flipgrid, June mentioned Adobe Spark, Stacy mentioned Green Screen, Diane's a fan of Google Docs, and June mentioned Chatter Picks Kids, awesome. Eileen mentioned Spark 2, Catherine mentioned Explain Everything, Elizabeth mentioned Screencastify, Sally said all the Google apps, Kaylee mentioned Nearpod, so many of my favorites and ones that we will look at together today when we talk about this combination of favorite apps and websites with the awesome Book Creator. So one thing we want to talk about first is making sure that we are putting the learning front and center, creating tasks for students. So a question to pose for yourself when you're thinking about smashing some of these favorite websites and apps together is, what do you want your students to know and be able to do this week, this month, or this year? So staying focused on learning goals will really help when we think about which tools we want to bring in and combine together with Book Creator to get the most bang for our buck and make sure that we are leveraging the power of digital tools in classrooms. So the workflow that you might use to smush some of these best app features together will really depend on devices that you use, whether or not the webcam is enabled, if you are using iPad to Google Docs or to Chromebook. So the workflow that you use to move images, audio, media around will help you think about what your plan is going to be for making this happen in your classroom. So for example, if your students are all on their very own Chromebook all day long, well, then they know that they can access one website on their Chromebook and then switch right over to the tab to Book Creator and easily add something from one website, one creation activity to another. If your kids are using iPads some days and Chromebooks other days, well, then their workflow will be a little bit different. So keep all these things in mind as we move through together today. So why App Smash? Why use one feature of another website with Book Creator? Well, this is an opportunity for giving students choice, so letting them explain their thinking and show what they know in lots of different ways. It lets you make the most of extra features that another website or app might have. And it also lets you create portfolios of student work with Book Creator. So if your kids are using Book Creator as a portfolio or to showcase all their work from the year, it's a great way to pull all of these things together at once. Now, this is more than just a hack. Sometimes we think about, right, hacking different tools and trying out things that they weren't intended to do or something like that. But when you are able to take the best of another app or website and pull it in to Book Creator, you can really bring everything together in one place. You can combine student work into one book that's ready to share with the world. Now, if you are having students use paper and pencil, well, think of this as another type of app smash too. You can have students drawing their own illustrations, snapping pictures. It's a great way to celebrate what we might call analog work or work that's not totally digital. And you can also have students snap a picture. Maybe they're holding up their page up to their webcam on their Chromebook and then recording their voice using Book Creator to reflect on their learning experiences. So lots of things you can do here that are really super duper special. So the most important button for us today in Book Creator when we talk about this idea of bringing in different types of media that have been created in different apps or websites is going to be that plus sign, that import button. So when I click the top of that page or above my cover and I tap on the plus sign, the first thing that you'll see is the import button. This allows you to import all sorts of files. And if you're wondering just what kind of files you can pull in, there's a whole long list at bookcreator.com/media. But essentially today, we are talking about bringing in images, bringing in video recordings, and bringing in audio files. All of these are things that you can import and place on a book. So even if you created an image or a movie or an audio file with another app or website, you can pull them in to Book Creator. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to play along with me a little bit today. I'm going to go through a list of favorites. Some of them I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth. Some of them I'll just mention and you might want to jot them down, take a screenshot as I'm talking, and refer back to them later. So these are just some ones that I want to bring to you, and I'm hoping that you'll jump into the question box as we go through and share some of the favorite apps that you've used alongside with Book Creator too. But if you are watching this on a computer and you can open up another tab on your Chrome web browser, go ahead and head over to app.bookcreator.com. If you haven't used this before, make sure you sign in as a teacher. It'll prompt you to set up your own library and then create your own book. But I'm going to ask you to try out a few things during our time together today. So head over to app.bookcreator.com. Make sure to sign in as a teacher using Google Single Sign-On or using your email to get in. And as you do that, I'm going to move us through a couple things together. So going back up to that plus sign at the very top and to our import button. When you click on that button, you're going to see a few different things up at the top. Now, I have access to some features that are going to be live shortly, so yours might look a little bit different than mine right now, but I want to make sure that you know what's coming and what's available for you. So remember, I'm going to hit that plus sign at the top and the import button, and I get this screen. So in the example I shared earlier, I did a Google image search for the Badlands and was able to find some Google images. I could have added my own file, my own picture off my iPhone from vacation in South Dakota, or I could have imported a picture from Google Drive. But I can also decide I'm going to find a map. I want to create a book that includes an interactive map for students. So if I click this map button, then I have the opportunity to add a map. So this map button lets me search for a traditional Google map or satellite image and select it and add it to my page. So at the very top here, I'm going to type in Grand Canyon. And just like when I'm searching directions on Google Maps on my phone or on a computer, it prompts me because it has a guess of where I'm talking about. So I typed in Grand Canyon and here I go, right to Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona. Once I tap on that, I can decide if I want to see it with the regular map or with this satellite image. And because we're thinking about this as a national park, I love the idea of looking at it as a satellite image. Now, as I move through and I hit the blue select button, I can then add this map to my page. I can check the blue circles. I can make it smaller and move it around. So as I do make it smaller and move it around, I can also hit this edit button. And when I do, it's going to let me zoom in a little bit or zoom out a little bit in case I want this to focus in on a particular area. So you can see here I zoomed in pretty far, so you can start to even see the roads around Grand Canyon Village. So Maps, which is built into Book Creator, is something that you may see on your device. Remember, I'm sharing some features today that are coming soon, so you'll see them pop up as well when you hit that import button as things are being built out and ready for the upcoming school year. Next up, when I hit that import button, is images. Now, when would you add images to your page? So students might take photos of their work, or as we talk about app smashing today and bringing in things from other websites, you might also have students pull in screenshots from other apps and websites that show off what they've created or what they've made as a demonstration on a different type of app or website. So for example, your students are making something in another tool. We want to bring it in here. We can show off their work here too. So going back to that plus sign at the very top, that import button, I can also bring in files from my computer. So I can go ahead and choose a photo like one of these JPEGs that I have here, click on it and add it. So as soon as I click on one, it'll give me the prompt to open it up and plop it down right there on my page. So a photograph I took, right? Or your students have taken a photo of an illustration from a field trip, of a step of a science experiment. They can import their photo this way. When I go back to that plus sign at the top, I can also choose Drive. Now, this is going to prompt me to connect to my Google Drive. That way, I'll be able to access the features or anything, I should say, that I've left in my Google Drive that I want to bring in here and import. So in this case, just like I had this folder full of pictures in my book creator folder there, when I connect to my drive, I can access a folder that's saved to my Google Drive. So I click the Connect to Drive button, and then this pops up. It's going to say, do you really want your email attached? And I say, absolutely. I want you to be able to grab all of my Google Drive files so I can import them into my book and share them with the world. So I click, yep, allow. And then I can access my Google Drive. So I can look in my Google Drive, search through, or I can click on one of my folders, and here I can bring in pictures or even a movie file into my page. So I can click here and add it to my page that way too. Another website or app that you may want to use is Poplu. Now, Poplet is a mind mapping tool. It's also a customizable graphic organizer. So you can have students create their own mind map using Poplet. So they might use like this Poplet demo about facts about the earth that the folks at Poplet share on their website. You can pull in facts, you can pull in images, and then pull that into your page. So if you go to Poplet's website, you can try it out or sign in if you're using this all the time. And then when you have this great image of what your students have created, you can drag it in. So I can drag it right off my desktop into the page, or I can upload it going the same way before, hitting the plus sign and importing. Then what I've created is right there on my page. So I can bring in this particular image and have it on a page in my ebook. So Poplet is a fantastic tool, something you absolutely want to check out, and you can share student creations right on a page in their own book. Next up on the list is Autodraw. Now, Autodraw is an artificial intelligence drawing tool. Doesn't mean that there's, a robot in your classroom drawing for you. What it means is that when you go to autodraw.com and you use your trackpad to draw a heart or draw any shape, at the very top, Autodraw says, "Did you mean?" And it's guessing, did I mean an apple? Did I mean a butterfly? Nope, it's that first question, or the first guess I should say, was right, that I am looking for a heart. So when I click on that heart, it then pops my image into a much nicer final product. Now, when I have that image made with Autodraw on my page, I can go to the top of my screen and I can download the image. So now I have the download option here, and I can bring in the image that I made right into my book creator page. So the idea here is you might create something somewhere else that's perfect for your book, and you're going to save it as an image file and then import it onto your page. Next up is Google Drawings, another open-ended tool where you can combine shapes, and there's a variety of export options. So here I am in Google Drawings. If you haven't used Google Drawings before, you can access it from your Google Drive account. It's just like making a Google Doc or a Google form. It's another option for you. Now, I created this flow chart. So I have 3 rectangles and 2 arrows on a blank space. Now watch what I do here. I go to the File button, and I can download it as a PDF, a JPEG, a PNG file, or an SVG file. Now, what I did here is I didn't download it as a JPEG. So before I had JPEG files, these are my wonderful images I added before. Instead, what I've done here is that I have added downloaded this as a PNG file. That means that it's going to be blank in the background. When I do that and I import my file to the page, it means that I can layer content on top or behind it and have it almost like it's see-through. So any of the places that are white become transparent. So if I go to the top of my page and I change the background color, well, I can move that graphic, that flowchart all over, and it's not going to have that white box around it. I don't have to worry about cropping it or layering it at all. It's going to be ready to go for me. Next up on our list is Spark Post. Some of you mentioned the Spark tools before. It's a graphic design tool. You can layer text on images, and there's all sorts of branding options. Now, I use Spark Post all the time, even to make a slide deck like you see here. I use it on Instagram when I'm making Instagram stories or Instagram posts. So it's a really dynamic tool. Now, your kids who are on Chromebooks would go to spark.adobe.com to make a Spark post. If they're on iPads, they could use the Spark Post app. If they're on iPhones or they're on Android phones, they could use the Spark Post app too. But we're talking Chrome today. So I'm right here at spark.adobe.com. You can see I use it for blog posts and for Instagram stories all the time. Right here at the top of the screen is where you'll hit the plus sign. That plus sign gives me the option to make a Spark post. Now, when I go to make a Spark post, it's going to ask me what shape I want it. Now, it almost looks like it's going to post it directly to Facebook or Twitter, but nope. It's just helping you decide on what shape you want. As soon as you choose the shape, you can type in a keyword and it'll search for photos for you from Unsplash or from Pixabay. You can choose as many as you want. I chose just one of a polar bear. Then I can use the plus sign on the side of the screen to add text, to make some pretty designs. And then when I'm finished, I can go to the download button and download this picture as a JPEG file, a picture file, right to my computer. Then when I press the plus sign or the import button, I can add it to the page. So maybe it's a cover of the book, maybe it's an infographic you've made. However you're using it to crop or filter photos, you can then add that picture onto your book creator page. Next up on our list are some of my favorite apps and web tools from the Math Learning Center. I don't know if you've used this tool before, but I love them. They have almost a dozen web and mobile apps, so it's iPad friendly, Chrome store friendly, web friendly, you name it. It can be used to model different mathematic equations, visual representations, you name it. A great way to have kids model, and then when we bring it into book reader, talk about their math learning. So here I am on their website, the Math Learning Center's website, and I can choose from some of their free math apps. So I'm going to choose the Numberline app, and when I open it up, I can draw on the screen and I can move around, and then I can take a screenshot if I want to pull it into my book creator book. Same thing with their number pieces app. I can pull in the shapes. Maybe I'm making tessellations or I'm doing something where I'm creating another shape with multiple shapes, you name it, and I can take a screenshot. Once I have my screenshot, I can import it into my book creator page. So you see here, right, I've used the plus sign button to add the image, but I can also use the plus sign button to press the record button. That means I can then talk about what I did here. So imagine your third graders talking about what they created here, or your ninth graders using the number line to make a very complex representation for a problem, and then they can add their recording to the page. So some options there. Canva is another tool that you might use to have students create different graphics to pull in, save it as a JPEG, add it to their page. You might even be using something like Kahoot with your students, and you take a screenshot of the finished results and add that to a collaborative book or that you're making with your students, so that you can say, these are the things that we're excited about, and every student has their own page and you can reference that Kahoot piece too. So take a moment in the question box. Which tools jump out at you? What would you use with your students? Of the ones that I mentioned so far, which ones jump out at you? What would you use with your students? And I will take a peek. So Poplet jumps out for Kaylee. Spark Post jumps out for John. Same thing with Peggy, too. Awesome. If you have PDFs or worksheets for students, you might add them as a hyperlink to the page too if you wanted kids to go a little bit further. So glad that these are resonating with you today and that some of these are new for you as well. I think you'll love that Math Learning Center. Great way to combine these ones too. Let's keep going. Go ahead right now and sign in to app.bookcreator.com if you're not already there. And I'd love for you to go ahead and create a new book and try adding an image to the page. Maybe it's going to be a screenshot, or maybe it's a file like a picture saved to your computer. Take a moment to add an image to your page. And as you go through and add an image to your page, I'll talk a little bit about what you can do with video. So video is something you can have students import or add to their page. This could be a student created movie or even reflections on their work using the webcam on their computer. Seesaw is a tool I use all the time. Just today, I was working with some teachers and we did a Seesaw book reader app smash, right? We had everyone typed in a note on Seesaw, we saved the picture, and we added it to a collaborative book creator page. So it might be screencasts, videos, drawings, snapshots, you name it. So imagine you have your students creating a drawing. This is a super simple one. They can record their voice explaining their thinking, and then they'll have a movie, right, or an audio connection to their piece. And then when you are in Seesaw, students can go ahead and download the audio and add it to their page, or if they've created a screencast, they can download it too, or they might even just share their item with a QR code or link. So lots of options. Another one to add to our list today is Spark Video. Students can combine video, images, icons, and voice to make their own Spark Video movie. You can have students export it as a link if you want to put the link on the page, or they can export it as a video file. So save it with the download button as a video file. So if they make a movie and they download it as a video file, then it becomes a movie that they can add to their page so that they can open it up and import it to their page. So you see here, I created this movie in Spark Video. I've imported it, and now the video is waiting on the page. So when I hit play, the video will play right in the book creator page. Another option is Explain Everything. Explain Everything is a super powerful screencasting tool that's Chrome friendly and iPad friendly, just like most of the tools we're talking about on our list today. So with Explain Everything, you might have students create a video. Maybe it's a tutorial, like something in Khan Academy. Maybe it's a step-by-step of how to solve a math problem. Lots and lots of options to think of with this too. Next on our list is WeVideo, another Chrome-friendly movie-making tool. You might have students create videos with WeVideo on their Chromebook, save those videos and add them to their page using the import, or even publishing with the link and adding the link to the page. Another video creation tool is My Simple Show. This is one that really advertises themselves and describes themselves as a great for do-it-yourself like type of videos. So you can do step-by-step, explainer videos, really something special that you can do with here. You can have students download the video and add it to the page as well. Next up on our list is Powtown, where you might have your students create cartoons or animations, again, bringing that video into your final creation, showing it off in your book reader. Or you might use a tool like Screencastify, which someone mentioned before, and this is one where students can create a screencast, save it as a video, and have it ready to go inside of their book creator. So most of the tools we're talking about today are things that you would take and run with, that you could really make your own. So absolutely a very special way to connect to your learning goals. So if you haven't already signed in to app.bookcreator.com, make sure you're there. And now you can try it out with video. Try adding video to the page. Maybe you have video saved to your computer already, or you're going to use the webcam to record a clip. Go ahead and create a page in your book and add video. And while you do that, I'll take a peek at the questions. Ellie asked a great question about the COPA and FERPA compliance for these tools. You'll want to go to each one of the tools landing page to get really specific information about this. The tools that I've shared with you today are ones that are education friendly, so ready for EDU market. So on their landing page, you'll be able to find all the information you need about their privacy policy so you can make sure it's the right fit for your students and for your district. A question came in about something for English language learners. So I would suggest for your students who are ALS to take a look at some of the video ones we've looked at today. So for example, Spark Video or Explain Everything, those ones really rely on student voice. So explaining thinking, using icons or illustrations, I think that'll resonate really well with your L audience. Cheryl asked about taking a screenshot from your computer. So it depends on the computer you're using. I'm here on a Mac computer using the Chrome web browser to access Book Reader. I can use Command Shift 3 or Command Shift 4 as my shortcuts for a screenshot. You might also have the print screen button on your computer. It just depends on your computer which buttons you press to take a screenshot. Great. So we're going to keep moving forward with some more favorites. If you are having students create audio recordings, this could take the form of reflections, narration, and music. Now, if you've used Book Creator before, you know you can use that record button to have kids record their voice right within Book Creator. So really ready to go. Awesome if you're importing a screenshot and you want your kids to talk about what they did in that other tool. If you are having students compose their own music or do some collaborative recordings before they get into Book Creator, I highly recommend taking a look at Soundtrap. It is super Chromebook friendly, even though it works on all the tools you might be using in the classroom. Students can log in from different locations. They can create music together. They can create audio recordings together. It is really special and is absolutely, Chromebook friendly. So before we go out, and I'll show you how to save the finished books that you create with your classroom, take a moment and think about our list of video tools now and audio tools. Are there any more that jump out at you or ones that you would use with your students? And I'll take a peek at our question box. So I know that one that everyone is excited about was Screencastify. For sure. Soundtrap, absolutely something you're going to want to take a look at. So some great options there too. So the last part of our app smashing or website use discussion today has to do with how you can share a finished book in different apps you might already be using. So when you publish a book online with Book Creator on Chrome, you can share the link in many different ways. So I want to take you out so you can see. I'm right here in Book Creator. This is a book I made yesterday when working with a group of teachers and talking all about setting with them. So if I want to publish this book online, I can go ahead to my share button right down here at the bottom. Now, of course, I could download this as an ebook or print it, and that does give me some options for sharing, but we're going to talk about publishing it online today. Now, I'm going to turn off the publishing just so you can see what it looks like for me to publish. So I go to my share button, I publish online, it asks me for a title, it asks for my name, and then I can publish this book. And yay, my book is published, and I can press this button and it will automatically copy my public share link to my clipboard. I could also hit read online and see my book right here and waiting for me and share the link here too. Now, that's kind of our step-by-step through going back to the library, hitting the share button at the bottom, and either copying the link or opening it up live for us. So you can share that in a few different ways. So remember, I hit the share button, I make my title and author ready, I publish the book, and I copy the link. Now, once I have that ready to go, I can share it in a few different favorite places. Maybe I'm doing a Flipgrid response and I want to share the link as part of my response. I can do that there too. Maybe I'm using Seesaw and I want to share the link so that someone else can see the book inside Seesaw. If I'm using Showbie or another LMS, I can post the link there too. Or I could even turn the link into a QR code. So lots of ways to share the link when students have made a book and are ready to publish it online. A couple things that you should know that might be new for you for Book Creator on Chrome is that you can now create a teacher shared library. So when you're in Chrome, you can create a library so students can share their work, teachers can review student progress and give feedback in real time. So when you have your library, you can hit those three buttons and share a code that your students can join into your library. Now, there's something special coming to Book Creator very soon that I want to talk about with you, and that is the embedding option in Book Creator. You might have seen the special video that the folks at Book Creator shared to give you a sneak peek of what this looks like. It's a new update. It's going to give you the opportunity to add interactive elements and really create some dynamic pages. So you saw on my page earlier that when I hit the plus sign at the top of my screen and I go to import, I now have the embed option. This means I get a frame code from another app or website and paste it in here. So anywhere I get that kind of code from, I can then embed it into my book. So this includes tools like 360 Media or Google Forms or Desmos and lots more. So for example, if I'm in Seesaw and I had that same math example, I could share it with a embed code and add that to my page. If I had made a response to a Flipgrid, I could grab the embed code and add it to my book creator page. If I'm using Spark Video, I can publish it with an embed code and add that to my page too. So lots of different options as you look at that embed feature. So a couple questions that have come in during our summer webinar series is about the free and paid version on Chrome. With the free version, you can create one library, 40 books, and then the 2 upgrades give you more options for creating more libraries and more books. If you're using this with your whole school and need to get a quote, you can totally reach out to the book creator team. It's just sales@bookcreator.com, and they can help you figure out the best plan for your school. So I saw some more questions come in regarding the pieces that we talked about. So lots of tools let you get embed those iframe codes. So you'll definitely want to check that out. If you are publishing a book, so it has that link, you can share it in all the different LMSs and things that you're already using, whether you're posting it in Google Classroom or posting it on Twitter for families to see and celebrate too. So thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget that we have 2 more webinars coming up. You can go to bookcreator.com/webinars or head over to my website to sign up. I'll make sure to tweet out the links and make sure that you'll be able to find them. And don't forget, there's a whole bunch of awesome free books. I created one on reading responses and science projects with book readers. You'll also find ones with think aloud routines, high school focus, and elementary school focus. So lots of great things from the